All right, guys, here we're going to talk about the movie Excess Baggage, 1997's best. A trailer that like sticks in my head more than the movie itself. The trailer had a Spice Girls song that was that like "If You Want to Be My Friend" song, like, and it was on a lot. Yeah, that one.
You gotta get with my friends. Yeah,
I remember that playing a lot. So when we're like, we're gonna watch Excess Baggage, I was like, all right, that song's gonna come on. Be ready for that.
Never happens, right?
Never happens. It was only in the trailer.
So let me tell you my going into it thoughts. I was like, oh, this is the one with Alicia Silverstone and Ewan McGregor, and he kidnaps her by mistake or something.
No, you're thinking
there's another movie where Ewan McGregor
A Life
kidnaps
Less Ordinary, and that's Ewan McGregor and
what's her name? Not Kirsten Dunst.
No,
Reese Witherspoon?
No. Oh God, something with a C and a D. Cameron Diaz.
Okay. Great. So I had screwed it up in my head. I don't know if I like A Life Less Ordinary or not.
I do like that movie.
But I was shocked that it was Benicio del Toro. So like the credits are coming up, and I'm like, oh, it's got Walken, it's got Benicio del Toro. Wow, this was pre-episode 1 maybe, because Ewan McGregor's getting really low billing on this credits, and the credits keep going, and it's naming like the sound guy and his mother, and I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? Is he the dude? Still, I was like, oh, Harry Connick Jr. is the dude. I have the thing. I'll figure it out. No, it's crazy. Yeah, exactly. No, yeah.
No, but this is a great movie with a lot of stars in it, and like it feels it's like a fun type of thing.
It's a thing, yeah.
So going into it, I hadn't seen this in a long time. I have no memory of the movie at all. So when I see Christopher Walken in the credits, I was like, oh yeah, he was in this movie.
Yeah, he kills Dennis Hopper.
Yeah.
That's
Not this movie at all.
I know. Kind of playing a similar role in a way. But no, so like the thing here, right? A pampered, like disaffected rich girl is trying to get back at her father and like prove.
Trying to see if he actually cares at all.
Teach him a lesson / prove her, his love for her and all that stuff. But everything goes awry, right? The plot to kidnap herself, goes on the skids when Benicio del Toro steals the car that she's in the trunk of.
Mm-hmm. And like that as a plot is a very like late 90s type of thing.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed the nostalgia of this movie a lot, where like it felt very much like something that I would watch as a kid. Like,
I think I did
a bunch of movies just on TV or whatever.
There were little scenes here that like trigger where I think this was on channel like 11 or 9 a lot or something, and it'd be like a cable movie that you watch.
You have Alicia Silverstone, so you're like, oh, cool, you got Clueless Girls in a movie again.
Yeah.
This will be great. She's in a trunk. What's this about?
Yeah.
And Benicio del Toro, like, this is like one of the younger things that I like. I remember
it's weird
him
to see
in.
him, yeah.
And he's always had a look to him, like he always looks tired and like he's like ready to go. But I like his voice. Like he has a. I think I would have liked to see him in more roles like this, like
okay.
Because he has that great. Like outsider type vibe to him. Where he's like, I don't even want to be here. And he does that really well.
And he had to play that for this, right? He has to be the car thief. That's like, I don't even use a gun, lady. I don't know what you're doing. And he's just doing these things, right?
So
yeah. There was some good stuff here.
So before like watching it, I was like looking into the thing. I was like, all right, let me see how this was received.
You look before you watch?
I look sometimes. Okay. Because like I thought that I like remembered some things, but I didn't realize. I was like, so let me.
I always watch the movie almost like halfway or more through. I think to like I make up my mind or I finish the movie and then I hit up IMDb to figure out.
This one in particular, because I just watched another movie and I was already on IMDb, so I was like, all right, let me queue up those
in the
pages.
research zone. Yeah.
So I just real quick look up like what did this movie cost? Because I remember it being like a bigger budget movie, at least I thought. Okay. And this movie was like, it was a $20 million budget. Yeah. And it was received pretty poorly. It didn't make its money back. It made less than $15 million.
Sure.
And I was like, oh, so this wasn't like the launching pad or whatever.
I don't think it's
people.
a great movie in retrospect. I had a lot of nostalgia for it
I think it's a great nostalgia movie, but I don't think it is a great movie. A lot of things happen where it's almost like for no reason.
It kind of feels too long, and it kind of feels segmented in like a weird way that I don't remember remembering. I think as a kid I was just like, this is what movies are. I liked parts of it already.
That's the thing where a lot of movies of this time period, like 95 to 2005, had movies where it was just a series of like, and then we go here, and then we do this.
It's time to do this now.
We gotta do that.
Why are they down by the water talking about that? I don't know. but it's fine.
Because
We're
it
doing
looks
it.
good. Here we are. There it is.
We're filming the scene, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, like obviously shot on film, obviously like a movie production movie, right?
I had certainly never seen this movie in widescreen. I'd only ever seen it full screen.
Probably,
and I knew that because when it opened up in widescreen, I was like, oh, this movie was made in widescreen? And I was actually like, oh.
Okay, interesting.
Which, like, yeah, it was theatrical, so of course it was, but it didn't even click.
Well, so I feel like with commercials and with I watched a thing recently that I haven't been able to get out of my head about certain movies doing well on like video back in the day. It was actually different than just watching it in your house, because you'd watch it in 4:3, maybe the TV was in the kitchen or somewhere else, right? So like going to the theater is a very different experience than having it on commercials, right? So I think this movie would have lent itself better to being on, right? You just flipping channels and
the commercials breaking it up and like, oh, they're here now, and not thinking about the transition.
And you just see them in the hotel room. You just flip the channels. Oh, that's Alicia Silverstone, and you just watch that part of the movie. And you go, that was awesome. It's,
how old did you think she was in this movie?
I know how old she was in this movie.
Do you know how old her character was, or how old she was?
She says, I can't do anything about 18 years of whatever, which is an obvious thing of like, because they're about to bang, and we have to establish that she's not underage. So she makes a reference to like with her father. She says like, I can't just explain to you 18 years of neglect and like abuse or whatever she calls it or something.
But does that mean she's 18 or does that mean she's 21? Because her mother died when she was 3, so she potentially wasn't neglected for the first 3 years. And that's why I was like, do we know how old she is?
She's definitely legal, and that's all I care about.
Well, she's at the least 18, at the most, I think 21.
Exactly. In real life, she was around 21 during.
Okay.
Like when.
So I'm going to say 21. I'm going to say she
only
plays the roles of ages she actually is.
That's her thing.
But yeah, because it made sense, because in all the situations where she would have needed ID, she just didn't have anything that would have her ID in it.
Yeah.
So I was like, is she underage, or does she just not have ID?
And I like that being this
ambiguous,
little thing in there, because you don't need to know that, and that's an interesting thing of how
it is mostly irrelevant.
Like well, and like how like because there's filmmaking here, right? He like lets her drink later when he wouldn't let her drink in the beginning.
Yeah,
he's seeing her differently than he saw her before, as they're like falling in love or whatever. There are these things that happen in movies for reasons, but I think so. Like I've always called young people 12. I don't know if it's just catchy and that's what I do, or if I saw it in this movie. Because they'd be like, what are you, 12? I used to say that throughout my entire like late teens and 20s to talk about people that were like a year or two younger than me and like make fun of how young they are or whatever. So when she says like 12 and then like drinks the thing, I was like, did I get this from this movie? Is this what happened?
It's the oldest you can go before you're hitting syllables.
Before you're a teen? Yeah, exactly.
I definitely watched this with a smile at points, because it has this thing that I love his facility where like he keeps the cars.
Garage,
I think that's super cool. Yep. I even like the next garage thing where I'm like, like a thing where you're like up here.
The bad guy garage.
The bad guy's garage. All the garages. I'm like a garage guy. I would totally want that.
I just see quarter miles, engines. Yeah.
Yeah. So
well, so it starts out really strong. I felt like it was almost like this weird. It's like the old movie lull, and like all the old action movies used to have like a middle of the movie lull or whatever. Like her like voice changer and like the heist and like do
the river, thing. The immediate chase scene,
and the way she tapes herself up, like the camera work of getting herself into the trunk and doing all that stuff. Him sauntering up in his suit and like looking at his glasses and stuff, and like all the gadgets and stealing the car, like all that was awesome. I was like, oh man, I can't wait for this, right? But then as the
it definitely ramps up very quickly just to be kind of straight across the board. I don't think it ever really dipped below a line for me.
Sure.
But it did stay on that line for quite some time.
I would describe it as
it built up. Christopher Walken's bits built up a little bit. That initial ramp up.
Right.
But yeah, that's almost the only bits that I was like, yeah.
I would have liked it to be almost like the big hit, where things are like bigger, right? It felt It felt kind of flat to me, and like
I would have liked him in the big hit.
Yeah, and I feel like, as a result, like the movie's like an hour 40, something like that. It's like a 90-ish minute long,
142 maybe?
Romantic action comedy, whatever. But it ended up feeling kind of long to me. I feel kept kind of being like, okay, we're still doing this. We're talking. We're doing that,
just at most of the points where I would have been like, come on. There was like a little thing would happen, like Christopher Walken scene or like something that I thought was funny. But yeah, it was very much on that line where it was almost at a point where I'm like, let me see what my phone's like it did get a little bit slow
IMDb again.
For me.
Yeah, just certain parts, just certain things would happen where I'd
Stretches
be like,
of
I get it. I know what they're doing here. It's good. Let's just Yeah.
But I did like it did hold me where I didn't look away. It did have me the whole time, which is already a praise. But never was I like this is so great. But I was enjoying it. Like it is a movie that I could see myself like I probably haven't watched this movie in 15 years.
Right.
But I could see myself maybe not waiting another 15 to watch it again.
Okay.
I probably wouldn't be paying attention to it, but I would throw it on. I had some great the soundtrack I thought was really good. It was very dated.
A lot of
and
music,
I liked that.
Yes.
It's one of those things where it's like a time capsule of a movie with how it was filmed, the music choices that are in it, and these stars.
They use as their love theme this all mixed up thing or whatever it's called. Oh, it was so like. The music was okay, I thought, but there were parts of it where I very much.
I didn't think the music was great. I thought it was great for this movie.
Yeah,
I thought it fit like really well. Where these were all like. If you were to buy a mix CD of the time, this would be like track 14. Like they weren't like the hits, but they were very much of the time.
It makes me chuckle in a way that like I definitely don't like. I don't know if I hate either. It's just kind of like whatever, right? But when like the Dave Matthews Band starts playing, and you're like, oh god, what are you doing? Like, yeah.
I can't even tell you what songs are Dave Matthews. I have this thing with him where I hated him on principle so much that I don't even know what songs are his.
He's like I got you there. Like the way he sings is like so distinct that once the singing kicks in, you know it's Dave Matthews.
I don't know that I would.
No, his voice is so weird. It's like distinct.
And I'm not saying it's not.
Okay.
But I couldn't name a song by him, and I don't know that I could pull a song out of a lineup by him.
I didn't like him really, but he was so popular, or they were so popular.
Oh, ridiculously popular.
I just had to know.
And and like almost like a chump. I hated him because of that.
You were the original hipster. Everyone knows this. Before it was cool, that was your thing.
Yeah. I just hated things that like people would wear the shirts and I love Dave Matthews. Fuck this guy, I hate him.
Well, the kind of people who liked Dave Matthews were usually people that you wouldn't have liked that I didn't like.
Probably.
As a kid, right? Sort of a thing. Okay.
But I enjoyed the soundtrack. I thought it fit the movie. So I'd like to know which one of those was Dave Matthews.
I'm kind of like on the soundtrack.
I think what made it strong was it vibed with the fact that the movie itself is not super strong, and like so the music itself wasn't very strong.
Oh, interesting.
But it worked because of it felt like it all hit me with that nostalgia, like 1-2 punch. Where I was like the visuals and actors, and then bam, this music where I'm like, oh, that shit, like.
Okay.
Like, do you know what I mean?
Like I do, but I'm very curious. So, like, it's interesting. Yeah.
Because I'm very curious to hear where we go with this one. It wasn't the token hits of the time.
No.
And that I thought was like, it's cheaper. So of course, why not? Why would it be? And this movie was like $20 million, not a super low budget, but for the stars it had, I don't think that was as big as because what did she go from this to Batman Forever? Like
I don't know the timeline, but yeah, this is probably before that, right?
I believe so.
Yeah,
I believe so. But you have these actors like
right? Because if you think
it's
of
a
like
star-studded cast.
So I Married an Axe Murderer, right? They have all the hits in it, right?
Yes.
So then now it's like, okay, what else? The people making excess baggage were like, spare no expense. Whoa, no, we need something cheaper than that. Like, that was like that, but like not that. Can you find a song that kind of is that, but like not as
So the director is this guy Marco Brambola.
Yeah, Demolition Man.
Demolition Man was his first big hit and first movie, I believe. And he went from that, and he did a Dinotopia miniseries. Did you catch that one?
I don't know.
It was actually pretty decent. The effects weren't awesome, but like it was something for like 2001 to 3. You're like, oh, that's actually pretty good. And for something that was made for TV, also it had some impressions that left with me. And then you had Max D. Adams is the writer, and this is like the only thing he's ever written. Period.
Oh,
and I was like, well, when you knock it out of the park with excess baggage.
When you've achieved,
there's only down.
When you've achieved perfection, there's no point in trying to repeat the performance.
And I can understand that.
Okay.
So that was great.
Interesting. Yeah.
And then of course with the main characters, Alicia Silverstone and Benicio del Toro, and like they were already
they've become
their names
like household names.
Yeah.
I guess Alicia Silverstone maybe not as much. But
I think at this moment I think she might have been bigger than him.
Is she doing something recently? I tried to check.
Now?
Yeah.
They both had an active IMDb up to the moment, but I didn't recognize.
I think Alicia Silverstone's done some like TV or like series stuff. Maybe not network, but like cable shows. I think.
Yeah, I think she's kind of. In my opinion, I think she's fallen off. Like her heyday was, and not even that it was good. Was Batman and Robin, Clueless, Blast from the Past with Brendan Fraser.
Well, and let me just say, she is a babe in this. She is wonderful.
Oh yeah,
she's awesome. This is so like
age is not always kind.
We did something with Romeo and Juliet with Claire Danes, right? Someone too who I think maybe has taken a different path where she's just a good actress, maybe, right?
Okay.
I haven't seen a lot of Claire Danes' stuff, but so these are actresses that I would have had like a crush on back in the day.
Okay.
So seeing them now and being like, yeah, and not just you got old. It's like that's not really what their thing is, or they're not really. In
people change their look.
You're not in
and
my mind.
And the '90s look was like it was a different thing.
Yeah,
it was like what would you call it, like Clash and Trash style. Like,
there's a certain,
I like that.
I'm a big because when you're raised in like an era, in that era, her in Clueless is just wonderful and all that stuff. So like when we watch these older movies, I'm like, that's what I saw back in the day. Where I was like, oh, she's amazing.
She reminds me a lot of the girl from Psych. Like as she got older, she kind of looked more like that girl to me.
She does look like kind of like that girl. Yeah, exactly.
Not the younger version, but the older version.
Yeah.
And Del Toro, The Usual Suspects is probably what
he's got a string of things.
The Hunted with Tommy Lee Jones, that one was pretty good.
That one a lot.
And then Guardians of the Galaxy now, I don't know if you'd call that his hit, but he's in it.
He's continued to get some roles. He's in that Star Wars and he's in Guardians, right? So he's doing stuff. But I think now people are like, ooh, they got Benicio del Toro. Was he in Sicario? Is he still famous? I don't watch good movies, so I don't know.
No, I don't know.
I think he's in that.
And Uncle Ray is played by Christopher Walken.
Oh, and Uncle Ray.
He's actually, I really liked him in this, and I wouldn't have minded if they would have done a spin-off of like him.
Of Uncle Ray.
Because he has his like Walken-esque persona, and like he feels like a badass.
Yeah.
And like he's super famous.
Well, the Walken here is actually like it's not. I don't want to say toned down, but it's not quite as he's Walken. Like he's not going too crazy.
He still pops the odd syllable, but
he's good.
Yeah,
but it's good. It like fits because the world here wouldn't have been able to bear just having Walken doing all of Walken.
Do you know what the best Walken is? Where he doesn't do any inflection.
Ooh, no.
Sleepy Hollow.
Oh.
He plays the Headless Horseman.
Yes.
And that to me is one of the coolest fight scenes. He's a sword and an axe combo, and he's just like a boss.
Good, but he doesn't have any lines in that, right?
No, that's why there's no inflection.
He just goes like once,
with his sharpened teeth.
Yes.
I thought it was such a weird choice to get him for that, but I thought it was so good.
Yeah, no, I like that too.
Yeah. And then Harry Connick Jr. is Greg, his like car thief
just
partner.
Slid in there. He used to do a lot more movie stuff, I think.
Yeah, and then I think he once he did like Will and Grace and like became a regular on TV. I don't think he did a lot more.
Sure.
He did some like dolphin movies and some bullshit.
I remember seeing that he was an actor and liking him in something else, but it's all a blur now.
Independence Day. It's probably my favorite movie that he's in, but he's barely in that movie.
Yeah, exactly. He's in the beginning.
But I like him. I like his like accents and like the preachery talk he does.
Yeah.
I think he's pretty good. And then just as we're naming the actors, let's just finish it up.
Who's that comedian guy?
Which comedian guy?
There's two guys working for the bad guy trying to like pick up
Gus
the cars.
and Stick.
Stick.
Gus is my name is Buck. I drive a truck from Kill Bill.
Oh,
and he's in a lot of things, but that's probably the thing that like
he's a character actor to the max.
Is his best thing. And then Stick is he's from NYPD Blue.
I was gonna say
that's Nicholas Totoro, something like that.
He looked so familiar, and I love his fast talking, like whatever funny stuff. I was like, oh, this guy is great. Like, where's he from? Who do I know this guy from? I didn't go look it up or whatever. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah,
he's in a lot of things, and he's he's always you like go right at him.
He's very snappy. He's very dynamic.
He has a way about him. I really enjoy that guy's acting.
Yeah, they have a scene in here because we're not going to go through the whole plot. We already talked about everything else.
Sure,
is where he's just like, say gosh one more time. See if that does for you.
Yeah.
Or like gosh or golly or whatever.
Gosh.
He's like throwing the guy out, or he's like, hey, do you want to go powder your nose? All these like things, but it's really snappy, and I'm like,
he has a way about him where he has he can pull off the intimidation while he doesn't look intimidating at all.
Right.
It's solely talk based. Like we're like,
aggressive
you know who I know?
attitude.
I know people. I'll get you.
Yeah.
And I like that. And
right.
while
You're making mistakes
his
now.
partner Gus is more of like, like that guy would probably be the guy doing the intimidation. Stays back. I'm not dressed. Like I like that. I liked his their duo worked for me in a way.
Because that could have been played for like really awful comedy or really awful like slapstick bulk and skull stuff.
Yes, and that too often is
following
how
them around the country, right, or the state or whatever it is, right? So, but they avoided that, right? They subverted that and made them the bad guys.
My favorite scene in the movie, like strongest part for me, where like I do a thing where I go like. Like when someone does something really good, and was when he doesn't have the full amount of money they want. He only has the 200,000 he owes, and the guy's like giving him a hard time.
Yeah.
And Christopher Walken comes up from behind with a gun, and he's like, He goes, hey, you like that? He's like, I like that very much.
Whoa. Hey, let's go. You better tag along. Mr. President? I like that a lot.
Benicio del Toro says that? Yeah. When he's like,
his voice.
what you're feeling is the silencer up your rectum or whatever.
Yes.
So he's like, okay, whatever. He's like,
I followed you. You like that? I like that very much. He talks like he's always talking on an exhale.
I like that very much.
I really enjoyed that. I felt that moment because you're like, he lost. Oh, he won.
No, and so as you've been saying, it captures just the way he dresses, his thing of like, I don't fit into society and I'm doing this other thing. Mm-hmm. I know it's wrong, but morality is complicated, and like, I gotta go get the door, and like Christopher Walken has to say, put your shoes on, like we're going now, or something like that. And he's like, no, I'm the one.
Get your coat. It's cold out.
It's this like slackery 90s mentality. It's like the Brendan Fraser and Airheads. It's like the thing. That's the thing. And you had that be your guy that you follow through the movie. That's great.
And his like end goal gimmick, I'm stealing all this money because I want to open up a karaoke place in was it Brazil?
Brazil, yeah.
And I thought that's such a quirky thing to want to do. Yep. And I don't even know how much it would have cost. Like, I think he could have already done that.
Time and time again, yes.
These things don't cost that much money. But I understand the whole, like, I need a nut, I need a nest egg, I need things.
My favorite line, it's not a good line, but speaking of that, a good line is when he's telling her his plan. Right?
Okay.
I know for a fact there's no karaoke bars in Brazil. And then he has to throw in, don't tell anybody about that idea.
Yeah,
he has to tell her, like, this idea is too good. I want to make sure you don't spread this around or whatever. Yeah.
Listen about that karaoke plan. Don't be telling anybody. I mean, how could you? They take it.
I really, though, I would have liked a sequel in Brazil at a karaoke bar, and Uncle Ray is there, and he runs it with them, and they're getting shaken down by the locals, and Uncle Ray's got to go nuts.
Okay. What would the title be? Something involving karaoke, Ray, excess,
So excess baggage is the name of the first one. I don't know, CD changer? Empty tray? I don't know, like the opposite.
Okay.
But it'll never happen, and I would have only wanted it like a year after this one, at their prime.
I think that ship has sailed.
Oh, 100% sailed. It was sailed the moment the movie didn't make its budget back.
Sure. I guess we'll run through quickly.
But they got my $1. I bought the DVD.
Literally $1.
$1,
yes. I like a thrift shop, right? Yeah. So it's a blast from the past. That's a pun. The plot is they're running through this whole situation leading up to, right? So skipping all.
It's a fake kidnapping, an unwanted accidental kidnapping, and then a real kidnapping.
That's what I was about to say, is that it ends up with they have to go back to her father and explain that she's been kidnapped and they want $1 million, but this time we mean it, right?
Yes.
Which is great. I love that. I love that that's the circle that the movie works.
That type of thing happens all the time. Yeah. Someone cries wolf, and then when it really happens, and like it's the old like proverb in itself.
Yeah.
But it was done in a unique way here, where I didn't feel like, oh, this is just that, or this and this happened.
No,
I liked it through and through. I thought that it could have been done a little better. There were a couple of plot holes here and there, like the idea that the FBI knows it was fake and then is okay with it being real.
Oh, and like, okay, if we want to, so like at the end, right? So again, they do the thing that movies do, where you stumble into that situation, but then they articulate it, right?
Yes.
She's been kidnapped again, but this is real. We're sorry. And the dad's like, what? And whatever.
Yeah.
But like at the end, Uncle Ray walks her out, and he's like, the bad guys are inside.
They're tied up.
And all the FBI. All the agents, all like the detectives are like, okay, like everything's just fine. I'm like,
when they know they saw her kissing Del Toro.
Yeah, there's no reason to do this, I guess. Whatever. And he's in the trunk. Was he still in the trunk the whole time?
So if we're talking about, so I said my favorite part. I like that very much. The worst part of the movie is the actual ending. The actual ending. So that they drive out of there. The FBI takes the two newest kidnappers. Vincent is in the back, in the trunk, and they drive away. He is.
Okay,
and then
but then there's a whole scene in the middle.
He's in the trunk for hours.
Yeah.
Still not the worst part.
Okay.
Then she drives to the very first place where she originally parked her car, where Vincent took the car.
They have
and they have like their moment. He's like, oh, he's good. So he's wearing a suit. He's wearing like his full jacket in there. If you're getting in the trunk, you strip down, bro. It's very warm.
You gotta be buck naked in that truck.
If you don't mind. But she has a champagne, which made me think that she was 21 because she picked it up from A to B. It seemed.
Did he say champagne or like red? I wanted to say that it was like red wine, which is the most inappropriate thing to be drinking.
Whatever it was, it might have been wine. Actually.
It's a funny choice.
It was a bottle that you get at a liquor store. It was
already
regardless.
Opened,
So they get out of there. They do their toast. If you want, you could come with me to Brazil. Like you could do it. Blah 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 blah. And she's like, it's like if you want. Yeah, and then it's like they're right. They kiss.
I forget I have no idea what they said in that scene. It's all like a jumble to me.
They profess their love in a very minimalist way.
I got the idea from just absorbing.
Then they start to make out. They like curl over into the trunk, and with his foot he closes the trunk. And I'm like, what if he just died? What if he just died right there?
I was gonna say, I feel like I'm glad that we went here because I feel like your problem is that they closed the trunk.
Yes,
which I think is awful.
That's the problem.
But I thought besides closing the trunk, that scene was cute. I liked them.
It was cute.
I liked them sitting in the trunk with their legs like over the thing.
It actually was still cute when the door closed, but it's good. When you actually think about it, you're like, all right. Come on here. One person has the maneuverability to spin around and grab the knob and flip it open.
Something, right? There's supposed to be a latch.
But actually, what year
How do they both fit in the trunk in the first place?
Oh, you can both fit in the trunk.
What is this car?
You can both fit in the trunk.
Are they going to enjoy their time in the trunk?
Oh, no, they can't be doing anything really in the trunk,
yes,
but they can both get in the trunk.
Yeah.
But it's just,
It was
Trunks
cute.
are usually shockingly roomy, but not in the way they like. All through college, I had a thing where I would keep my seats down in the back seat of my car, and in between classes, I would go in the trunk so my head was nice and dark with like a nice pillow, and my feet would be out into the car so I could sleep because I would schedule so I had all my classes the same day, so I would only go to school twice a week, but I would sometimes have these long stretches in between, so I'd have to like relax. And
we're learning so much about you here.
Half the year, like you could relax, like in the school or whatever. But the other half, when it was like nice and cold, I would just go like into my car.
Okay, that's
so like there's room.
I think they must have cheated like a little bit too, just because of like how much they disappeared into the trunk.
Well, what was it? That was a BMW.
It seemed like a big trunk, to be fair. I'm fine with all that. I thought that it was cute in the ending and their stupid thing. It was weird though to have me go, wait, so like Christopher Walken I guess drops her off. She like waits for her dad. They have a long conversation. Then they drive somewhere else. And like, are we to believe that she's not going to talk to the authorities and she's going to go like escape to Brazil? Is that the plan?
I could believe that.
Yeah.
Just because of who her dad is and how rich he is. Like, no, you'll talk to her lawyers, you'll get a full briefing, but like, get out of here. Because he's also a criminal. So,
well, she says, no, Daddy, because I'm going to talk to them and I'm going to confess to everything. And he's like, well, you're still my daughter. And then they like leave or whatever. It's this like thing at the end.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we are supposed to believe that she's not intending to do that because they show her getting in the trunk with Benicio.
She's going to Brazil.
I mean, she's going to Brazil, but I don't know what's the plan. I don't know. I don't need to know. It's okay. But I have no idea what I'm supposed to take from this. But the point is, they get away, and they frame the kidnappers for the kidnapping.
Yeah.
And presumably everybody's happy.
But the best part of that is, like, when they were going to frame Vincent was actually innocent. Like, he didn't do it on purpose.
Exactly.
When you're framing those kidnappers, they did kidnap her. They deserve to go to jail.
But I think they're going to frame them for all the kidnapping.
100%.
And that's why you can say, I guess, it's all tied up in a movie bow that makes no sense in real life. Yeah.
But, like, I think in most 90s, 2000 movies, you end it going, like, well, that wouldn't work for, like, a lot of things. And you got to just take things for what they were. It's like, it was a different time.
It was a different time. The cops
people
were like...
didn't care.
Yeah, cops were just like, fair enough. And they would leave.
Oh, you tied up two people? I'll put them in jail for life. Sounds good.
No, there's no process here. Yeah, I know.
Certainly not due process.
The due process.
But, like, at the end of the day, I did enjoy this movie. I do think... It deserves better than the 32% on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
I thought that's a little low. I thought at best, Rotten Tomatoes would have given it like a 50%. I thought I could see this being a split decision.
We have to be very clear that the percent freshness is very misleading.
Yeah.
Did you see what the average rating was?
Oh, I did not.
Because that just means only 30% of people gave it above a certain number of stars.
Yeah.
It's very easy to go on there, and I think people do anyway, so it's fine anyway. If something is, says 31%, you go, that's a 3.1 out of 10, basically, right? But that's not exactly what it's supposed to mean, but that's what everyone uses it as.
I think that's
we understand, right?
That's how people are taking,
Right. So the idea is that people, by and large, are like Justice League is like twice as good because it has 60 or something, right? Or whatever it has, right? And that's like, no, what are you talking about? Right? Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but I walked away with this saying, like, it was an enjoyable movie. It was nothing great or special. It didn't go above and beyond in really in anything except for, I think, its casting. I think the casting was its strongest point. But they didn't really give a chance to shine because they didn't get the script was kind of light. The actual direction of where they had to go was kind of eh. But I would say this is like a 5.2 for me.
5.2 is a very strange and like unique exact number. I would say a solid 4 because it's like a little worse than nothing. There's some parts that are great. It's kind of flat. Maybe a 4.5. If I had to go very precise, something like that.
I'll remind you of that amazing soundtrack, 4.6.
4.7? Yeah.
Oh.
No.
That Dave Matthews love just bursted up a 0.2.
Like, there's things that I like a lot. I really liked, Alicia Silverstone's character, right? Mm-hmm. Those scenes of her, like, handcuffed in the bathroom and, like, throwing stuff at them and being like, what are you doing? And then, like trying to fast talk and being like, you said you wouldn't hurt me and this would hurt me. Are you a liar? Are you just like everyone else? Doing all these things. And like lighting a cigarette and doing all these stuff. Like her character was also very 90s and fit in very well. And I really enjoyed that. Right.
That's what if I could give bonus points for nostalgia alone, which I like don't have a way of adding that in because then a modern movie gets no points because it doesn't have any nostalgia yet.
Right. We can't reserve.
I would easily like for my enjoyability of this movie, like not rating it as a movie, but like oh no, like I could totally throw this on and watch it. It's a great little time capsule of a thing. I would bump up a couple points for that because it's 100% nostalgic for me, and that like on that realm of like, could I throw something on in the background while I was like drawing or something? Yeah. Yes, definitely, because I would look up occasionally, laugh at it, saying I enjoyed that very much. Like things like that are enough for it.
Yeah, like it's ultimately harmless, but I don't think it's quite. I think it's a little flatter and weaker, and but there's good stuff, and it is nostalgic. It's very hard.
All of its shortcomings are script-based for me.
In the 4 area. Yeah, like it's a movie.
Because like visually it's fine. The the audio is great. There's some techniques as far as editing go that I was like, okay, I like that.
Yeah.
But really the script was its biggest.
Exactly.
It dragged it down for me, and like that's why it's just kind of above neutral in my eyes.
Yeah.
The characters are, I think, what drove it up to be above neutral for me, but it not that much.
Yeah, exactly. I think that we largely agree. I'm just pushing it a little below neutral because I don't think that
I can tolerate that.
Yeah, I don't think that I would throw it on. I think that I'm glad that I revisited that, and I think it's like have I used the word harmless yet? I think I
believe you have.
Basically harmless. It's just sitting there. It's doing its thing.
I agree with that statement.
Everything's okay, right? I don't really have anything super like glaringly bad about it, but I do think at the end of the day it just falls a little short of. Like,
I will throw it out as a thumbs up, and I will say it's a recommended movie for me. I would say give this movie a shot if you've never seen it, and if you saw it a long time ago, watch it again because I do think there are enough parts in this movie that make it worth watching.
Exactly.
And at least something to be able to say, yeah, I saw that.
I definitely think that it's worth revisiting because of the cast and people that you might vaguely have known a little from recent stuff, especially like if you're 30, then you can watch this to revisit it or to revisit the time period. But even if you're not, you may wonder like what else was going on with the Clueless girl? How did they make movies back then?
This is almost the Clueless girl. She's got a clue and she's rebelling. Because
now we've come full circle.
She almost has that like Cher Horowitz fucking like yellow coat with the yellow backpack.
Exactly.
But now she's like heavier with the makeup and she's smoking. She's like, man, I don't give a shit. Daddy's a bitch. Like
she got sent to boarding school and she burned that mother down and her dad can barely keep. Exactly. And the Mighty Mighty Bosstones play at the prom. It's wonderful.
Yeah. So that's our thoughts on this, guys. Let us know in the comments what you thought about it. Don't die in a fire, and we'll see you next time.
Hello, internets. I just love watching JustDaggers. If you've enjoyed this video as much as I have, click that subscribe button. Peace out, homies.